Okay, awesome. So again, my name is Jade. I am part of the community health team with the Gateway Region YMCA. And we're really trying to work on expanding our nutrition offerings and services, which leads me to our guest of honor tonight, Miss Reshaunda Thornton. So let me just briefly introduce Reshaunda. So as an empowerment and wellness influencer, Reshaunda's work has been focused on the area of health and self-care with many dynamics as to how she contributes her knowledge and expertise to both local and regional wellness initiatives. In 2019, she was a recent St. Louis TEDx Gateway Arch speaker titled Winning Your Food Fight, which you can find on YouTube. She's been featured on Fox 2 News St. Louis as the nutrition expert for over 80 segments. She's also authored her first self-help nutrition book called Play to Win the Food Fight. And she's a thriving podcast host, and her show is called The Dietitian Against Diets, which you can find and access on Apple and also Spotify. And she has a private consultation practice and is a wellness counselor for Washington University of St. Louis. Reshaunda also holds a leadership role as a member of the board of directors for both Barnes-Jewish Hospital St. Louis and a local nonprofit organization called the Fit and Food Connection. And as a dietitian and wellness speaker, she's passionate about using nutrition to inspire and empower people to build a healthy relationship with food that reflects self-care and self-love. Her mixture of passion and expertise has allowed her to change lives in an impactful way as she brings energy and creativity every single time. Texas native and health enthusiast, Reshaunda Thornton has received 2 bachelors of science from Stephen F. Austin State University in biology with a minor in psychology. And from Kansas State University, she received nutrition and dietetics and a master's in human nutrition from Logan University. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Reshaunda.
Thank you, Jade. And I know that was a mouthful, but if anything, I just want that to be a reflection of just my passion for nutrition and the approach of taking it in regards to self-care, along with influencing and educating individuals along their own nutrition journey. So thank you, Jade, for that lovely introduction. And thank you for letting me be a part of the YMCA. Just initiatives to make sure we spread the word about nutrition along the veins of everything else you guys stand for in your organization. And so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of get started. I know we have an hour and be very respectful of everyone's time. And I also want to make sure that we have time for conversations afterwards. So hang in there with me, grab you a pen and paper to take some quick notes. Be very open to asking questions. We'll make sure we take care of that. We'll turn the live off, and we'll turn the recording off to allow some of those conversations to be had. So don't be hesitant. Definitely want you to take advantage of this time that we're going to have today. So moving forward, the topic of today's this month's session is going to be about food as personal nutrition. So food as medicine, that's more so what I wanted to say. And if you see, for instance, as food as personalized medicine, and you're very familiar with the wording of food as medicine, you've heard that phrase before, but there's another level of food as medicine that needs to be recognized, and that it's all individualized, even so within yourselves, your life dynamics. So I really want to kind of dig into that and talk about what that means for you and how that's going to be applicable to you and the rest of your life moving forward. So with today's topic, these are some of the things that we're going to discuss. We're going to first understand why nutrition is centered around you and your needs and why that needs to be customized. As I said, an individual thing. And in understanding your own personal body needs, because none of us on here, or even people that you know, none of us are physiologically the same. So therefore, our nutrition, our foods, these diets that we sometimes prescribe to, we can't all do the same thing. We're not all going to have this. We don't all have the same endeavors. We don't all have the same taste. So understanding what your body needs is going to be way more important than just trying to subscribe to some sort of maybe cookie cutter way that you feel that you have to eat or have to conduct yourself. And then learn the value of what we eat. And when I say value what we eat, the most time we determine our foods by how many calories that are in it versus how many nutrients are in it. What benefits does it provide for our body, and how substantial are those benefits? And so we're going to learn how to define what we eat more so out of its value, not necessarily its calorie count. So again, Jay did such a very good job at just kind of give you my quick resume. But I do want to just kind of do some highlights on more so who I am behind all of those achievements. Yes, I am a dietitian, but I really center my work in the area of wellness, because nutrition is definitely a heavy component, but there's other aspects to your health that needs to be considered as well. So focusing on that for the last 10 years is really 10 to 12 years actually been my area. And within the space of that, how are we actually recognizing what we're connecting to 4 to 5 times a day? What do we connect to me? What are we putting in our body 4 or 5 times a day? What are we eating? What's the value of that? Do we define foods? Are we looking at the things we're eating in that way? Or are we looking at them as, is it something I need to eat quick, or I'm only eating because it tastes tasty? What are some deeper levels as to why we're choosing to have certain foods? And then when you do understand that, you understand the vast power of food. When I say the power of food, that's what's going to move you towards your health or away from your health. And understand you have the ability to create the trajectory of your health through how you engage with foods. That's a powerful thing. So how can we look at that in an empowering way, which is what we'll talk about today as well, which comes with being more self-empowered to make change, not forced to make change. When you know what works for you, and you know how to do it, and you find you want to do it, and you find there's multiple ways you can do it in a way that's not constricting, you're empowered, you're eager, you're wanting to do that. And so how can we look at that in the veins of nutrition versus doing it because you have to do it, following the rules, subscribing yourself to some sort of plan or some program that you really don't feel comfortable being in, don't really want to be in, and it can't wait to be out. So it's a big difference between being self-empowered to make change versus following rules. And those are some of the things I stand behind. And even focusing on like how and why are we eating? We're recognizing what we're doing, we're having our foods. We always talk about mindful eating. You've probably heard that it's kind of a cliche term. It is a very legit term. But have you ever considered mindless eating? Do we actually recognize the times when we're just kind of eating out of boredom? We're eating because we're distracted in social events. Sometimes we're eating because we're frustrated. Sometimes we're eating because we're busy. Those are mindless eating. So we never can really understand how to be mindful in our eating if we haven't really recognized the components of what's considered mindlessness eating, so we can change that. So those are some of the things as far as areas of where I really focus on when it comes to my nutrition, with my profession, and with that platform, everything's centered around self-care and self-love. So here we go. Let's go ahead and just kind of truck along and move forward and have the big question of, you hear the term food is medicine, and then you question, why do we say this? You know, we've heard, you know, it's kind of the buzzword for the last 10 to 15 years. And we kind of find ourselves saying it, but do we actually get it in a way that we look at food as medicine? Or we just understand the concept that, yes, eating healthy foods equivocates to being healthy. I think that's kind of the watered down way that we look at it. But like, why do we, if we say it, why do we not particularly apply it the way that we can apply it? And I think sometimes it's not that we don't want to, or we don't have the energy or the oomph to. I think sometimes we don't have the tools of knowing how to do it, or even understand how to recognize the things that we're eating in the aspects or dynamics of the foods that we're eating and what contributions they're making towards our health. So now what I want to do is kind of give you some more grounded definition of what food is medicine really means. So again, you can start understanding the value of what you're eating, which empowers you to bring those foods in more often, which gives you the ability to change and improve the trajectory of your health. So before we get into like the fun stuff, scientific information. We all have to have you have to have some way to back up your knowledge, to back up your information. So I definitely want to make sure we don't stay away from that. So by definition, you know, food is medicine is a reaffirmation that food and nutrition plays a role in sustaining health, preventing disease, and it's a therapy for those who have conditions or in situations responsive to changing their diet. So, you know, as in the healthcare world, healthcare industry, there actually is a new therapy that's being brought in to help address cancer, to address obviously, you know, other health conditions such as diabetes, neurological to degenerative conditions, and it's called nutrition therapy. That's actually a new thing that's being brought into the field because the industry, the health industry, the healthcare industry is actually understanding the girth and the power of nutrition and how they can be applied in such unique ways that can fulfill your body with those healing components that's going to help to counter those conditions, to lessen them, to manage them, and so forth, versus the more, I guess, invasive ways like the chemotherapy or radiation therapy. Not saying that those are not needed, those are totally needed, but there's also other ways that actually can help support it or actually can replace it, and that's nutrition therapy. So food as medicine is based off scientific evidence on food groups and dietary patterns of treatment and risk reduction of common lifestyle-related conditions, with a focus on cardiovascular health, insulin resistance, cancer prevention, and obesity. So yes, it's good to know that there are evidence-based information that backs up the understanding that food is actually medicine. So this is the perfect time to pull out your paper and pen, because I really want to take some time to dig and define these elements of the certain foods that we eat and what kind of benefits does it provide for our health. So let's talk about first how food nourishes and protects the body. When I say protects the body, it what builds the body's immune system. It what helps fight off cancer. It what gives the body the ability to optimize itself at the highest capacity to increase your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system, you know, everything from your mental health, everything from your body's stress levels. It has the ability to protect and to heal and to better those systems in your body. You think about your nutrition, you think about the nutrients that you're eating and the minerals and vitamins. We'll start there. So we all know we should get our vitamin A, B, C, Ds, and our B12s and our riboflavin and our all our different types of minerals and vitamins, our iron. You know, we know that we should get those, and you know, we know that we should get them, but I don't think we understand what they actually do and how they actually can improve our health. So if I were to give you a list of all those minerals and vitamins you are told or suggested or recommended to get every day, which you could easily get in certain foods easily. If you knew like what vitamin C contributed to your body, you know, what vitamin D did for your bones and your hormones, you know, what iron did for your oxygen level and support your liver health, you know, what your omega-3 fatty acids, what they do, like you knew what these vitamin and minerals did, like, I think that it would really give you more grounding and to be more intentional in bringing those in. So I'm going to start off to the minute level. The most minute, smallest unit of life in our body is our cell, okay? And when I say your cell, you got one cell, and obviously we know what cells turn into, but we get a new set of cells every 3 months, okay? So let's say we start bringing in these minerals and these vitamins, and these cells, they start feeding off of that because our body obviously take what we eat, and that's how it creates life, right? So get down to that cell. We start eating foods that are higher in minerals, higher in vegetables. Now we're bringing in more iron, more vitamin C, you know, more B12, you know, more all of the zinc, more magnesium, all the things that our body needs. We start feeding our one little cell more of those type of nutrients. And what happens to that cell? It differentiates into other cells, right? Hair cells, skin cells, bone cells, muscle cells, every type of cell in the body. Then those cells differentiate into organs, organ systems. So what happens that one cell, it becomes more optimized. It can function so much higher, so much better than those other cells that converts to other types of cell and systems. Everything just starts functioning better. So basically, when we're thinking about our change in our health, a lot of times we want to change the outside, right? We want to change what's in the mirror. We want to lose the weight or change the body composition. We want to change kind of what we see a lot because what we see is change. But what's really happening is when we're focusing on bringing in those minerals and vitamins, we're having the ability to bring in way more ammunition, way more health for those new cells that are coming in. And guess what? Those new cells are functioning better. They're stronger, they're more resilient, they can operate more efficient. And guess what's happening now? Instead of focusing on change on the outside, Now you're learning that you're more so changing on the inside. And then when you change on the inside, that's where change happens. That's where your health improves. So you start from change on the inside, what you can't see, what you can't feel, by bringing in those minerals and vitamins to your body. You sleep better, you're more temperament, you're less frustrated, you find that your mood is better, you find you have more energy. Why? Well, because we're bringing in those nutrients and vitamins. So now your change actually happening from the inside, and what reflects over time, then the outside changes. Your body loses the weight it doesn't want to hold on to. Your body's stress levels go down, which means cortisol levels go down. Your skin looks better. Like everything you see on the outside starts to be reflected, but that's because you're changing the inside first. So that's the value of making sure those minerals and vitamins are something that we keep as a priority in what we're bringing into our body on a daily basis. And where do we get them from? We get a lot of them from plant compounds. All your plants, your spinach, your kale, your tomatoes, your onions. I mean, I can give you the whole array of all the vegetables and the fruits that you're eating, but your plant compounds cause phytochemicals, and those help for cancer, from reducing the risk of cancer. It helps in your digestion, it helps your immune system. We get a lot of our nutrients from plants. And where does plants come from? The ground. It comes from the earth. So it's basically like a cycle that's happening. We live off the earth. That's what our body wants to live on. When you find yourself eating those salads, eating those fresh foods, you find you just feel better, comparable to grabbing something that's heavier, that's processed. It may taste good, but it just fits heavy in your stomach. Why is that? Your body doesn't work well with processed food. If we give it a plethora of healthy foods, a bunch of plant compounds, we're giving our body everything it needs. We're giving our body the food so that our body can give us the ability to be healthy. So how can we start that cycle of sufficing what our body needs by providing it that, and our body's going to provide us with the better health that we deserve and that we're looking for. So along with your plant compounds, you're going to get a lot of fiber, especially out of your plant compounds. And so when I think about fiber, we know that fiber helps reduce the risk of heart disease. We know that fiber increases our digestive system. We know we're gleaning nutrients of fiber. So you always have a high fiber diet, or make sure you're bringing your fiber in. Well, fiber, so as you should know, fiber is a substance that we can't physiologically break down. We don't have enzymes to break down fiber. Cows, goats, horses, they eat hay, right? Their body digests that, and that's how it converts to energy. Like our body can't break down fiber. So when we eat fiber, we utilize and pull off all the positive benefits from it, and then the rest just comes out. And you get your fiber from all your vegetables, all your plants, all your vegetables, you get a high amount of fiber. And then you get your other, they call it soluble fiber, from your whole grains and your wheats and your rye and those type of grain products. So making sure that you're intentional in bringing in that high fiber. And it's recommended about 25 to 35 grams, about 25 grams of fiber to 35, depending on your body size and your gender and your age and things like that. That's about how much fiber you want to get at least in a given day. Personally, I say you could definitely get way more than that, but at the very least, make a point to make sure that you have a good amount of fiber in your diet on a regular basis, or in your eating in a regular basis. And then protein. So protein, it can be animal-based and it can be plant-based. And again, my goal when I'm talking about protein is definitely talking about the lean, healthy protein sources. Like if you choose to have animal proteins, have your lean poultry, your lean turkey, your lean chicken, chicken breast, ground chicken, ground turkey, lean ground chicken, ground turkey, your fishes. You have lean pork tenderloins, you have lean beef, finding those lean meats, because that's taking away the saturated fats. And also your cooking techniques. Now we can grill, we can bake, we can broil, we can air fry. We have multiple techniques now that doesn't require a lot of grease, a lot of unnecessary calories. So we're getting that straight protein. And if you're plant-based, you have your tofus and your edamame, lentils are a good source of protein. You have other foods like your beans, and you have other foods that provide other type of nutrients, but they also provide proteins that are plant-based. So whatever it is that you're debating on deciding your protein, so just make a point to make sure that you are getting it in on a sufficient level, because what does protein do? That's a good question. Now, why we need to get protein? Well, protein is like, look at your bones as a framework of your body, right? Well, what fills in the framework of your body? It's your muscles, it's your organs. That's all like built from amino acids. That's built from protein. So when we're bringing in protein, protein helps build the body. Not only does it build the body, not necessarily for musculatory reasons or aesthetic reasons, but it builds the body as far as in keeping your immune system high. So it helps to contribute to your immune system so your body doesn't break down into sickness. Or if you do get sick or you get injured, your body still has a way to recover a lot better because we're bringing in a good, clean protein source on a regular basis and throughout the day. So making a point to get that protein in, try to get in throughout the day, not just one time a day, and really, really, really focus on getting a low-fat protein source in so you're not gathering additional unhealthy fats in lieu of just for the sake of protein. And also dairy is a good protein source. Your Greek yogurt, your cottage cheeses, your regular cheese, just lean towards the low fat. What about talking about fat? Well, let's talk about healthy fat. So healthy fat, what is the significance of health? Well, what does healthy fat comes from? First of all, it comes from all your plant-based oils. So your nuts, your nut butters, your avocados, your oils, your cooking oils, your olive oil, your almond oils, all the different oils that are coming from plants. That's your healthy fats, not only from plants, but from fish. So you're thinking about your the omega-3, the fatty acid, that comes from your fish. It comes from your nuts as well. But you're going to get it from your fish, your fatty fish, and you're going to get it from your plants. That's the source of your healthy fats. What's the purpose of healthy fats? Well, it helps combat inflammation in our joints. It helps to break down our hormones so our hormones can process better. It helps our proteins to travel throughout our body. It helps for insulation for organs. So it's a lot of things that healthy fat contributes to our health that we may not be aware of, but just knowing that it does contribute knowing what the components that contribute to your health, I think that encourages you to make sure that you're intentional on getting some healthy fats into your day, into your life. But also just don't go overboard because healthy fat is great, but we still need not to bring in a bolus amount of fat because the fat is a very dense type of calorie. And if our body doesn't break it down, it's going to store it and it's going to convert it into fat tissue. So moderation is always the key. Healthy, but still moderation. So now knowing your vitamin and minerals, the benefits of your plant compound, your fiber, your protein, your healthy fats, how can you seek that type of value in your foods? Now that you know what it's going to provide for you towards your health and how it's going to help heal your body, how it's going to help build your body, how it's going to protect your body from disease and sickness, and ultimately help you to have a healthier, happier life. So focus on those 5 components. Try to make sure you get those in on a regular basis every day. So let's switch gears. What's on the other end? Well, they got unhealthy foods. So what does unhealthy foods do? What does unhealthy food look like? Well, we know it does the opposite. It increases disease risk. Unhealthy diets, high in sugary fats, fast food, refined grains, are the main contributors to conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and obesity. And processed foods harm your gut bacteria and promote insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and overall risk. So basically what I'm saying, it's almost a black and white situation. There's, you got something that's processed that you see to the person's right. You got the donut, right? You got the apple. We clearly know which one we're supposed to have, right? There's not even a question that we need to put on anyone's quiz or even ask because we know the difference. But the question is, why do we sometimes not lean into the apple? Why do we go for donut? And so let me give you something to think about when you decide between these 2 items. We just talked about the benefits and the value of nutrition and what it provides. So essentially what that apple can provide. And I just kind of gave you some information about the unhealthier version of it, which what we see as a donut in this situation. When you're debating between these 2 items, don't just grab the apple because you're told that it's healthy. It's probably going to help you to lose weight. It's probably something that, that's leans into that world of healthiness. So you should make that right choice, right? Don't choose the apple for that reason. Choose that apple because you know the power that the apple provides. Choose the apple because you know that this is you telling yourself, I have the ability to improve my health, so I'm going to illustrate it by me choosing the apple. So the act of you choosing the apple, not the apple, but the act of choosing the apple is the act that you're reflecting self-care and self-love. because now you're choosing something that you know is going to bring health to you. We can put the same scenario of someone walking in the evening, someone sitting and watching television and not doing any exercise. I'm not saying watching TV is to mean you're not loving yourself by any means, but when you go into exercise, you don't go exercise because it's going to help you to lose weight. You don't go exercise because you know you're supposed to do it. You go exercise because the act of exercise, the act of doing it is an action of self-care and self-love. And you know you have the power and ability to, again, bring in healthy habits, wellness-centered activities and action. And that's in the vein of you being empowered to make those changes. So again, we know why. We know we don't always choose the latter in regards to the apple, but now, like, don't ever force yourself to eat the apple, but be empowered to say, you know, I want to bring in the best for my body, because what I give my body is what it's going to produce, point blank. We give it a bunch of donuts. There's no vitamins, no minerals, no phytochemicals, no fiber, no protein, no healthy fats. None of that's in the donuts. We give ourselves to the apple. It at least gives us 75% of those nutrients. So again, it's always up to you to choose, but now I want you to decide now what's a bigger reason why I'm choosing it, not doing the way that's forced, but you're being empowered to change. Because you give your body that donuts, what can it do with it? Nothing. It can't convert that into healthy bones. It can't convert it into a healthy heart. It can't do anything. All it does is satisfy that tongue. That's it. But guess what has to take the brunt of the tongue's pleasure? Our body. So on the other hand, choosing an apple is what's going to give your body everything it needs to live, but not just live, but live to be at its best. So let's choose the apple instead. So let's talk about the nutrition, how it should be customized around you, because that's always the next thing. Like, how should nutrition be molded around you? I always say that because a lot of times we feel we have to fit ourselves into this healthy living program or healthy living diet. That may not work for everyone. So don't feel you have to conform to something. You are the commodity, right? Your body is the commodity. So instead of you trying to fit into a nutrition program, nutrition should be fit around you. And how does that look for you? How can you, because it fits around you, it works for you. Guess what? It's easier for you to do. You're going to want to do it. You're not going to feel forced to do it. You're going to naturally do it. So let's talk about what that means to be. Well, actually, before we talk about it being molded around you, let's talk about the do's and don'ts to how to approach this concept. Let's talk about don'ts first. Okay. So first of all, yes, do not follow someone else's plan. Just because someone's lost 20 or 30 pounds and they're looking healthy and happy. They're looking healthy and happy. Now, doesn't mean they're healthy and happy, but they're looking that way. It gives you the inspiration. It gives you the hope that if I follow this, what they're doing, I'm gonna get the same results. Well, again, you're not looking at yourself as a commodity. You're just looking for some sort of change without putting yourself into the consideration of, is this really gonna be good for my is if I do this? Is this really fitting for me? Is this something I can see myself doing for the rest of my life? And if there's a no out of any of those, I don't think it's going to be for you. And in that vein, don't compare yourself to another person. We're all genetically and physiologically created differently. No one person's metabolism is the same. No one person's, the way that their body processes the same. The way their body builds, where their body wants to hold fat, how their body builds muscle tissue, no one's the same. So, instead of like worrying about what the person to your right or left is doing, focus on yourself, focus on your pathway, your pace. Don't focus on how quickly someone else is making change or compare yourself to someone that's making slower change. You stay in your lane, focus on self, because you are a totally different entity than your individuals around you. So make sure that you don't compare yourself to others when you're on your journey, your change, and trying to figure out how to make nutrition work for your life. And as I said earlier, don't just start a program if you don't even know what it's doing to your body. Because a lot of times we subscribe to diets, and when we're in a diet, we're taking a complete food crew, or we not eating for so many hours, and then we're eating a little bit later. First of all, none of that's going to last forever. So that's a big question to ask yourself. But do you know if this is loving to your body? Or are we doing this just for the sake of weight loss? Are we making sure we're giving our body those nutrients it needs to survive and to heal and to be stronger? Or are we just taking away calories, taking away food because we want to lose weight? So ask yourself, when you're subscribed to any type of program, you got to make sure it's nutritionally sound. And as a dietitian, I would never compromise nutrition for weight loss. I would never compromise because nutrition creates weight loss and nutrition creates better health. So there is ways to work around to implement a healthy form of changing your health. And you want to make sure you're informed, you know what you're doing to your body in lieu of that. So the last thing, don't force yourself to change either. Sometimes it may not just be time for you to make that change, because you may not be there as far as your mindset. You may not be there as far as just in that headspace. So if you try to force yourself, what happens when you force anything? It's gonna ricochet back. You know, it's gonna create a snowball effect of other things. So just kind of check in yourself and know, like, sometimes you may be inspired, you may be empowered to make these changes. You may have one of those days just totally motivated. Those days may come, but if that's something you can't see yourself sustainably doing, now you're going to start getting where you're forcing yourself. You're forcing yourself to change. Again, anytime someone forces you, or anytime you try to force someone else to do anything, it never pans out. So you want to actually try to make change slow and organic. So you're doing it naturally. You're doing it because you want to do it, not because you have to do it. So some do's. Do's let your goals go deeper than weight loss. It's bigger than weight loss. And again, we don't look at it that way because it's not how we're marketed. It's not how the industry gives us the way to be happy. We feel we lose weight, we're happy. Okay, if that's the case, it would be a lot of people in this earth that don't have struggles with obesity, don't have struggle with their body, and don't have struggle with heavy weight, because weight is not the weight. Wanting to lose weight is not a strong enough reason to eat healthy. Because in that case, we all be in a place where we're at the prime of our body, our health, where we want to be. It gotta go deeper. And that's why I'm being so intentional in making sure I'm talking about the power of food and nutrition that we want to change from the inside out. Because you look at that as your reason for choosing that apple, or choosing that salad, or choosing that baked meat, then you're going to always start looking at it that way. So you look at it that way, you choose because you want the better nutrition for yourself, and just think in that lens, what happens? Your body loses the weight, because it's a byproduct of eating healthy. You don't eat healthy to lose weight. You eat healthy to improve your health, and your body loses weight on its own. That's how it works. So recognize it takes time. You know, there's no timetable, how quickly you should be at this place, how quickly you should lose weight. No one should lose 20 pounds in 1 month. Your body cannot lose that amount of material and function at its highest capacity with that being removed from your body. Your body has to acclimate to your weight loss, acclimate to your change. It's not even just a weight change, not physical change, it's mental change. How are you building strategies to learn how to make healthy choices? Think through the amount of food you need as far as portion sizes. Recognize the areas where you are vulnerable, or you do find yourself having a bad relationship with food. Like, all it takes time to work through. So don't rush yourself. Take your time, learn, grow. Take your time, learn, grow, be forgiving. Take your time, learn, grow. It takes time. And when you're doing that, find what those barriers are. Is that your schedule is super busy, and that's why it's hard for you to have those healthy meals together, and that's why you default to the fast food restaurant. Or sometimes it is hard to start something, keep it going. Is that consistency a component? Is it hard to remember to drink your water every day? It's hard to remember to make sure you have a salad each day of the next 2 weeks or something like that. It's hard to be consistent. Or is it sometimes you just don't have that motivation sometimes? And again, we'll have to have this another day. We'll talk about motivation, because I have a whole spiel about motivation. But sometimes you go through your ebbs and flows. It's the bigger picture. So recognize, what are the common themes? What do you find yourself what keeps you, what are your stumbling blocks? What makes you kind of keep going back and forth with, you change and you find yourself back. You change and you find yourself back. We all have different ones, and there's some overlap, but recognize what are some of the common themes. So those are the things you can work on. If it's business, they learn how to think ahead, learn how to start prepping your meals, learn where your healthy fast food restaurants are at. If it's consistency, start with 1 or 2 things and build the skill set of consistency, and then add on more. If it's motivation, you're not going to be motivated to eat healthy food or cook the food sometimes. What are you going to do to push through that and ensure you just don't compromise your nutrition because you may not be motivated? So again, there's so many different ways to look at this and ways to handle it, but you got to figure out where are your barriers. And remember, your journey of change is unique. It's no other duplication. It's no other person that's doing exactly what you're doing, how you're doing, the speed that you're doing, eating exactly what you're eating. So you're a unique person. So value yourself. Remember, you're the commodity, and making sure that you remember your journey and how you change and when you change. That's all unique aspects. It's all uniqueness to you. So how to personalize your nutrition? It all depends on what are your physical needs. Are we trying to gain weight, lose weight, change body composition? What are some things? Are we just trying to improve our health? Like what's your deal? Are you looking at it on what are going to be your short-term goals? Like what are you looking to accomplish now? And then how can you see what you're doing now is what you're doing 5 months from now, 5 years from now, 50 years from now? How can you see yourself doing these acts long term? And what are your life dynamics? Is your schedule busy? Are you retired? Do you work from home? Is there a hybrid? Do you have little kids? Do you have kids that are out of school? Out of the home. Consider your life dynamic, because that's going to help you to reframe and understand, like, when will I be able to make my meals? What are the best times and the best ways to make them so it can fit into my life dynamics? Which goes into your schedule. Your schedule. Will you be traveling? Is your job requires you to travel? Or are you home most of the time, or there's just some sort of hybrid situation? Like, see what your schedule is so you can start fitting in when I want to get my exercise in. When do I have those mornings I really cook a good breakfast? When do we mornings have quick one? Like, you can start planning ahead. And then you got to make sure the food you're eating, that's all personalized towards you. You got to make sure what you're eating is something that you want to eat. So understanding, like, make sure that you're enjoying the foods that you have. And again, your food preference is different for someone else. And then where's your level of change? Are you still like kind of in that space where you're not really sure if you had a capacity or the bandwidth to really make a big change, which means you may need to make a couple little changes and build off that. Or are you in a place where you're tired of being tired and you're ready to take that next step and you want to really make this your last time? And so you're ready to line your ducks up and learn and go through the whole journey of self-discovery and learning your nutrition so you can get to a place where you want to be. So all of your nutritional goals are things that are personalized for you. When you're thinking about how you're bringing in your nutrition, it's all going to be depending on these factors. So consider what those factors are. At least you can create a framework. Okay, now how am I going to situate my nutrition around that? So I'm going to give you 3 foundations to live by when it comes to getting this nutrition going, as far as being personalized and making sure that you're keeping the medicine part as far as the health component at the top, it's front and center of your goals. So first of all, keep it simple. There's no magic food that's gonna like help you lose belly fat in 30 days. There's not the magical combination. Okay, it is simply whole, clean foods. Period. Now, when we bring those in, we got to think of how can we transition our change, not, again, force that change. So think about the add and track transition. So I say add and subtract transition. A lot of times we think, what do we have to take away? What do we have to do without? Well, it's not really taking some things out. It's actually adding some things in, and that transitions to your change to where, at one point, you'll be eating more healthier food. So I'm going to give a quick example. I like to use this example because I think it kind of help us all understand what I mean by this. Let's say for breakfast, you love your country breakfast. You got your eggs, you got your bacon, you got your hash brown, your pancakes, and your orange juice, right? That's your breakfast, right? And I say, okay, now it's time for us to eat like an egg white omelet. Make sure you swap the orange juice for some water. Make sure you have some fruit. And for you to go from one place to the other, that's not going to happen. So don't even force yourself to try to change that quickly. But there's a way you can transition. So have your eggs and your hash brown pancakes and your bacon and your orange juice. But now let's add some vegetables to your eggs. So what have we done? We haven't taken anything away. We've added value, added nutrients to those eggs, right? And so the next time we may say, okay, instead of the hash brown, let me switch that out for some fruit. So now I have eggs or vegetables and fruit, pancakes and bacon and orange juice. And then you say, instead of having 2 pancakes, let me just drop it down to 1. I don't need 2 pancakes. So now you have your eggs, your vegetables, your fruit, 1 pancake, and I'll leave the bacon. We'll say instead of 2 strips of bacon, you drop it down to 1. And now the next thing is you're going to add water to your breakfast, which means we're not taking anything away at all now, but you're adding water to your breakfast. So when we start adding some of these things, you'll naturally have less of the pancake. You'll naturally just drop off one of the bacon slices. You'll actually probably sometimes just drink water instead of orange juice. So again, we're not taking everything away. We're adding some things, and which makes some other things fall off, which is the added, subtract, and transition. So just think about what they could look like in any of your meals, any of your snacks. How can you do like a back and forth where you're transitioning your change versus trying to go from one place to the other? And that way you won't feel forced, but you actually enjoy the fruit. You enjoy just having that water. It's refreshing. We don't need the orange juice all the time. We can still have oranges, but not necessarily all the time. Breakfast always. Speaking of breakfast, no matter what your breakfast, if it's Greek yogurt with granola, if it's a protein shake, if it's just a piece of fruit, if it's toast with avocado on it, make sure you have breakfast. And the reason why is because breakfast is what sets the pace of your day. It sets the pace of your day. It sets the pace of your metabolism. It wakes your body up. Your brain is the number one organ that feeds first off your foods. So you're giving your brain the energy it needs to function highly in the morning time. So let's make sure that we are being intentional to make sure we have something for breakfast. Let's not skip it or just drink coffee. We can drink coffee, but let's bring in some nutrients. Fill your body, after your body has rested for 6 to 8 hours, create opportunity right now. You're giving your body nutrients that it needs. And now focus on nutrients. If you've noticed, I don't say a lot of things about calories. I focus on nutrients. So you're bringing in nutrients. That's the value that you're bringing in. So focus on now bringing in more nutrients, not necessarily worry about the calories. I have a thing that I say all the time. I don't necessarily count my calories. I just make sure that every calorie I eat counts. So everything I eat, bring in has some sort of value, has some sort of purpose. Who cares about the calories as long as they're the calories that's bringing your body health? So focus on that concept versus just always looking at the calories, because they don't have anything to do with the calories. It's about what kind of value that those calories provide. Number 2, consistency versus motivation. That's the part I was talking about earlier. Motivation is not going to keep you going forever. Because what is motivation? Motivation is like fireworks. It comes in spurts. It comes here and there. You know, when you hear an empowering speech, when you hear a positive song, when you read a book, you watch a movie, you get motivated. Motivation is not meant to be steady. Steady is consistency. So you want to actually learn how to build consistency versus motivation, because motivation is not going to always be there. So if you're building consistency, it becomes your way you operate. So you don't have to be motivated to have their fruit as a snack. You eat fruits every day as your snack. So you just learn how to be consistent with it. So it has anything to do with being motivated. But eating fruits consistently is how you keep that sustainable living, how you keep it to long term, and how it doesn't matter about your emotions, if what you feel like doing and what you don't. Let's convert that over to walking. Let's say you did a hike, you walked every weekend. So maybe one Saturday you just don't feel like, instead of saying, oh, this Saturday I don't feel like getting up and going, you've already implemented that you walk on the weekend. So that defines your weekend, because you do it all the time. So you don't have to worry or, go back and forth between if you're going to get up, if you're not. You have to worry about being motivated to get up and go, because what defines your weekend is making sure you get your walk in, because that's what you do. So the more you do things consistently, it becomes what you do. So it's not about feeling like doing it or not feeling like doing it. It just becomes what you do, just like brushing your teeth, just like breathing. So you want your habits to develop where it's just like breathing. Second nature is not about being motivated. So working on consistency as your way versus being motivated to make change. Consistency is really going to be the key. And then now, let's stop trying to be perfect in everything we do. We're not going to be perfect in this, especially this thing called wellness nutrition, bringing in these foods. You're going to have bumps in the road. It's supposed to happen, okay? Imperfections, there's actually beauty in imperfection. So sometimes we feel like we got to check every box. That day has to be flawless, and make sure we do everything, because if we don't do it all, it's either pass or fail. And that's not how it works. So I have this here called the 85% club. Prescribe just being a good 85 every day. That's like a B+ versus trying to be 100%. Because if you try to be 100%, maybe Monday you're 100%, okay, Tuesday maybe 75, okay, Wednesday, Thursday you're 90, and then Friday you're like at 65, and then that Saturday, so you're like at a 20. Then you're trying to get back to 100% on Monday, right? So you're going through these ebbs and flows. You're not learning consistency. So instead of trying to be 100%, just say, you know what, I'm going to be a B+ every day. You get a B+ every day, that's pretty solid when you add your days and your months and your years up. Being a B+ every day is going to convert into better health and convert into weight loss, because you're learning that, you're going to create space, create a little bit of balance. But if you do want that ice cream, or you do want that soda that one day, that's fine. If you have the rest of your days, the rest of that day, you're making healthier choices. So give yourself some wiggle room and be good at 85. Be a good, strong 85, be a good, strong B+, and you go so much further than trying to be 100% every day. So we're getting close to the end. So I said something about not being forced early as far as one of your don'ts. So let's talk between being forced and being empowered. So sometimes when we're forced to change, it's kind of like wanting to change more than you want to take the steps to change. Like you want it, but you really, 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 really don't want it enough to follow through or keep following through. So in that light, you kind of feel like you're forced to do it. So remember, you want to change and you want to change. You want to take those steps to change. Not want it so bad, but not really wanting to take those steps to do it. That's being forced. And if you can't really see where you want to go, you can't see that path. You can't see yourself eating this way for the rest of your life. You can't see yourself making these healthier choices. You can't see a way to get there. Then you're forcing yourself to go down a blinded road, like putting on a blinded scarf over your head and you just walking forward. You know, where are you going? How long are you going? What's in front of you? Because you feel like you just have to do it versus seeing truly what your goals are, seeing truly where you see yourself wanting to be. And now you got direction. So making sure, again, if you're not able to see that path, then it could be that you're kind of forcing yourself to do it. And always, we'll find a way to self-sabotage. We'll find a way to justify. We'll say, okay, it was the weekend. Oh, it's my birthday. Okay, I haven't been to this restaurant so long. I'm going to have this because I haven't been there for so long. Or I had a really bad day. I'm just not even going to worry about this because I don't even want to think about it anymore. I don't want to stress over it. Well, those are ways we find ourselves self-sabotage because we feel like we have to force ourselves to make change when we're out of actuality. We may not be ready to make change, or we may not be in a place we can make consistent change. And also, when you're forced to make change, you're going to find a way to set yourself up for failure. Maybe not intentionally, but I guess subconsciously, you'll find yourself, setting yourself up for failure. One way to set yourself up for failure is saying, okay, I'm going to go to this family event and I'm not going to touch the cake. I'm not going to touch the potato salad. I'm not going to touch the fried chicken. I'm just going to eat this salad and call it a day. You setting yourself up for failure because now you're forcing yourself not to have that potato salad. You're forcing yourself not to have that fried chicken. You're forcing yourself not to do the things that makes you happy. So again, there go that force again. So recognize the difference because you don't want to feel forced to change. You want to feel empowered to change. So when you're empowered to change, now you're thinking rationally with purpose and action. You kind of think it through. Yes, this 85 is pretty good. I can see 85, but I know like the reason I'm choosing that apple because I have purpose to give my body to help. So therefore, I'm going to take that action to do so. So you're being more rational. You have a view of where you want to go and you're doing it now. The actions are actually being expressed. Positive attitude. So when I say positive attitude, if you do get in a situation, let's say it is that family event where it's the picnic and they're having all the foods there, don't look at that as a challenge because you will say, okay, how am I going to navigate through this? How am I going to make the healthy choice? Look at it as an opportunity. Positive way. How am I going to see myself function in this situation? Am I going to kind of maybe just go down a portion size? Okay, make sure I do get some style on my plate. Instead of having, 2 pieces of cake, I just gonna drop down to 1. Like it's an opportunity for you to learn how to navigate in sticky situations versus feel like, okay, let me make sure I force myself to do something, force myself not to do something. So again, coming in with a positive attitude to where you look at this as opportunity to make some change and not again feel like this is a situation where it's going to cause anxiety or you're going to feel that you failed because you forced yourself to make change. Live in the now. Don't worry about what happened the last time you tried to improve your health. Don't worry about if you're going to really lose weight in the future. We can't worry about we can't change what happened in the past. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. Just focus on the now. Focus on day to day. How am I going to focus on just being intentional today? How am I going to make sure I get that water in today? How am I going to make sure, that I get that workout in this evening like I promised myself I was? Don't worry about what it's going to look like in the future. Just each day, just be in a moment and focus on each day. When that way you put your energy into that day and you're empowered to think in certain ways. You're empowered to look at things different ways. You're not being distracted by if it's going to work in the future or comparing what you do now to what you did in the past. And you're getting distracted. Focus on the now. And then challenge those negative thoughts because they are going to rise. Those thoughts of, is it worth it? Can I really do it? Am I up for it? Or am I good enough to do it? We have these type of conversations. So challenge those thoughts. Yes, it is worth it. Yes, you are worth it. Yes, this is your life. This is your health. You have the ability to change your health. So yes, be empowered to do that. Not talk yourself out of it or feel like it's not worth the time. It's worth the time because you're worth the time. And then get clear on what you want. As anything in life, what is your career, your parenting skills, your significant other, you clear on what you want, aren't you? So same thing for you. This is your health now. So be clear on what it is that you want for yourself. So again, you have the rational way of thinking. You're walking with purpose, and you're able to put the action behind it. So again, just think about how we're feeling in sometimes in these spaces, and how can we feel more empowered to change versus feeling forced to change. So this is pretty much the end of it. I want to leave you with 3 P's to personalize your nutrition. First of all, you have to practice this thing you want to achieve. You're not going to get it right the first time. You're not going to get it right the 10th time, probably. But that don't mean you give it up. This is your life. This is your health. It's not worth giving up. You keep working until you figure it out. You're going to get frustrated sometimes. When you get frustrated, switch gears, you get focused. Dial back in, get clear on what you want. So take a deep breath. Just know this is a practice. You're going to get better at it. As in anything we practice, what do? We get better at it. Okay, if doctors can still practice medicine, lawyers still practice law, professional sport players, they practice every day, right? So if they practice and they're still not the best at what they do, we can still practice. Know that we have the ability to keep practicing. We get better at what we do. And over time, it gets easier. Practice gets easier. Patience. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen over a couple of months. It's going to take time. So, practice required because goals are not fulfilled right away. Work on it. Give yourself space that you're going to make mistakes. Give yourself space that you're still in the learning process. I mean, it's a lot to work through. So don't just feel like you got to learn this quick. You got to change quick. No, be patient with yourself, be loving with yourself, and take one step at a time. And you have to persist, be persistent, be resilient over the long term, because you want to change your health. This is not a short-term thing. When you're thinking about choosing the healthy foods, think about choosing because you want to see yourself choosing it again in 5 months, in 6 years, in 10 years. Not because if you eat this food now, you're going to lose the weight. You eat this food now, your cholesterol level is going to go down. No, that's the short-term thinking. We got to see ourselves eating this way because we continue to eat this way. We can continue to keep this cholesterol levels down, continue to shed weight, but we're continuing to be in a space where we're improving our health forever for the rest of our lives. So make sure you write those 3 P's down. At the very end, I want to leave you with this last slide, is that food is medicine, as we said. It is a single. So when I say single, it's the single most important thing you do to control your health. When I say single, we always want to control, as human, we naturally want to control things. We want to control our family, our kids, situations, our job, the world, people in the world. We always put energy to changing things that we can't change, when the only thing that you can change is your health. How you move your body, how you feed your body. How you move your body, how you feed your body. That's the only thing that you can change, that you can control. So if that's the only thing you can control, put all your eggs in that basket and exercise your ability to control by controlling how you respond to things, how you think ahead, how you consider yourself and your health as a priority. You can control that. That's the only thing you control. So take advantage and control what you can control. And again, not just a single thing, but it's the most important thing. This is your life. You only get one life. You don't get a 2.0. You don't get a second do-over. You get one opportunity on this earth to be your best, most healthiest self. And now you know you have the tools to do so. Why not do it? So I want to leave you guys and encourage you guys to just think through some of those concepts. Start looking at nutrition a lot differently, not just a little bit differently, but a lot differently, and understand and appreciate the power that it can bring to your life, your health, and your happiness. I believe all that's registered and signed up for this class. I think we're going to, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and stop the live stream so we can, and stop the recording. Stop.